The senior librarian at my branch is an erudite African-American anthropologist, Delmar Clayton, PhD, who also happens to be a cooperator I sometimes used to see working out in the gym. Normally I wouldn't bother him with more than a quick hello because he was usually sweating and grunting with the barbells, presumably thinking about the follow-up to his book. Branch Chief Clayton was sitting out at his desk right out on the main floor doing library business, and because I knew he was top banana, most likely to help me cut through the bureaucratic red tape, I decided to speak with him first. In a low tone which showed respect for the other library patrons, I said hi and asked him how he was. Somewhat more volubly, which was certainly his prerogative, he answered, and I quote, "I was fine until I saw you enter the library with a cadaver on a luggage cart. I unload my groceries on that cart. What gives?" So I filled him in on finding Mrs. Plotsky earlier in all the Michigas with her son. He was sympathetic. He had had his own Plotsky encounter. She had peed on him in the elevator. I told him about the strange coincidence of having given Ernesto my library card to secure the luggage card, and then receiving all the overdue notices. He took off his reading glasses and, with great precision and patience, informed me of LCIT, Library Card Identity Theft. I hadn't known such a thing existed. Despite the obvious financial consequences of library fines, which on principle I was determined never to pay. Because of Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act, I could already be in the soup. As Mr. Clayton explained it to me, if the government didn't like the titles that Ernesto was somehow managing to have transferred to my account, or if someone using my identity downloaded the wrong sort of files from the internet, I could be declared an enemy combatant and detained for interrogation. I kept searching his face for clues that he was joking or testing me in some way. Ultimately, I took what he was saying to its seemingly preposterous conclusion, and I asked him point blank, "Mr. Clayton, are you saying that I could end up in Guantanamo because I borrowed the luggage cart?" He barely voiced it, but the answer was yes. He canceled my NYPL account, and while precious moments ticked away, I couldn't help beating myself up for not having stayed more abreast of current events. My only excuse, and it was a poor one, was that Joseph used to take the front section of the paper with him when he went to work, and even though he brought it back when he came home at night, after fixing dinner and cleaning up the kitchen and other chores, I didn't always read the A section as thoroughly as I should have. In giving Ernesto my library card, I had handed over my liberty, my destiny, my very human rights. My feet propelled us homeward, but mentally I was not in good shape, and I almost ran right into the guy I had spoken to earlier. His friend had since showed up, and I just immediately started spilling about what had just happened at the library. They were kind to me. And the new guy was especially empathic and experienced. Turns out he had been incarcerated in Guantanamo, though he looked over his shoulder before saying so. What he actually said was, "Gitmo, I've been there, I ain't no big thing." I was relieved to hear it, but his somewhat cavalier assessment was in direct contradiction with well-documented reports of torture, hunger strikes, inmate suicides, and I told him so. I'll never forget his words. "Them bitches tried to break me. I look broke to you?" I looked this young man of no more than 25 up and down, and he looked fine, better than fine, defiant and strong. So I cut to the chase and asked him whether he'd been waterboarded. He claimed he had, said, "Wasn't all that, I just held my breath." Which got me thinking, so I asked him, maybe I should practice holding my breath underwater in the bathtub. He said I should. What's more, he said everyone in America should, because they can take whoever they want now and apologize for it later. I do it with a stopwatch. Expand my lung capacity every bath I take, in case they pick me up again for another infraction.